Welcome to Real Talk No Filter. I have my lovely guest, Jewel. Jewel, tell me your story.
Hello. Well, that's such a broad question. Let's see. I My story really has led me, and through all the trials, tribulations, victories, adversities, challenges, and successes that I've had, they've all had this through line of purpose, of really, really connecting to purpose. And the through line really is about, for me and for what I now do in my work in the world, which is an extension of who I am, is around making our life count and really finding that deeper reason and purpose for why we're here on the planet, because we're all here for a reason. And I as all humans ask that question over and over and over again, like, why are we here? I remember my 6-year-old asked me, Mommy, why am I here? He was 6. And I thought, wow, this starts really, really early. So my story is really based around that. And I believe that it all started when I grew up with a father who despised his work, was deeply, deeply unhappy in his work, and strived to realize a dream of buying a sailboat and sailing the world, and, as an escape to that rat race. And he actually, indeed, in fact, at 45, he retired early. He had a sailboat built. We all went. It was an amazing adventure through the Caribbean for a very good, long period of time. And even though he realized his dream, he was still really, really unhappy. He was deeply unhappy. And so escaping the rat race didn't give him an opportunity to really realize his dream, because he had no purpose. Mm-hmm. He wasn't grounded in purpose and why he was here on the planet, what he was here to contribute. And so, that turned out that was cut short for various reasons. When my sister became ill and was dying, he came back, and he never went back. He never returned, and, slowly deteriorated over time since that. And so that's what I've been exposed to in terms of my understanding of purpose, and witnessing someone who had no purpose. And I wasn't aware that that's what it was at the time. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I wasn't aware of that, but that's what I was witness to, and have come to a lot of realizations, and have grounded myself in the work of acknowledging, connecting to that deeper purpose for myself. And therefore, now that's how I can help people connect to their purpose, because I've been through that journey myself of finding purpose.
That is interesting, the word purpose. And because we don't know, there's a spiritual sense and religious sense of what our purpose is. And then those that refuse or go away from that, they try to find their own purpose on the reasons why they're on earth. And once someone determines that what their purpose is, it really what drives them to what their life should be, and the direction that their life will go into after they determine what their purpose and their value is on earth. So to go through that, I guess that I'm trying to find the right word, but that analogy of what my purpose is, it really is a hard thing to find out, because you really have to dig deep within yourself to determine, okay, I am on earth for this reason. My life is going to be doing this. And then therefore you have that goal in mind, and therefore you could actually achieve it. And that's tough. I'll tell you that truth. It is tough.
It is. And it's what humanity struggles with, and it's what, people in the search for that look in all the wrong places. Yeah. Whether it's consumerism or, politics or religion or whatever it is. People are always, it's a common struggle, and we look outside of ourselves and that's what was happening with my father, right? We look outside of ourselves to define that purpose. And then when we realize, the things that we were looking for, and we attract them or achieve them, we still feel empty because there's something deeper. And you nailed it. It really is a very much a deeper question, and it's really layered. And what I have found is purpose is very much evolutionary. Like it begins with, touching into that nugget of spark that we have when we help someone. And purpose is directly related to contribution from our heart, like a way to help from our hearts, a way to express from our hearts. And when we have that initial spark of, I really love it when I'm able to help this group of people, or help in this way, or share my gifts in this way, and this person lights up and I see the spark in their eye. And now there's a mirror for us to see how we are sharing, outwardly, and then seeing this reflection back. So there's that layer, and then we begin to uncover what that top layer purpose is. And, from there, we evolve to realizing what the deeper layers of purpose are in terms of what our yearnings for humanity are. What do we want for the planet? What do we want for human beings? So we start with ourselves, and then we travel that journey through.
I really love that analogy on that, because in honesty, you could have your own purpose, but if it does not jive with your external, with the external factors around you, now it's whether is it a good purpose or is it a bad purpose. But now I beg that question is your purpose, no matter what. I'm really thinking now, it's more of okay, let's say you have a purpose, and your purpose is to sell a stick of gum, and you love it and you're passionate about it, and so on and so forth. But then after that, you find out later that gum is not good for the earth. It's not good for humanity. But you love the flavor, you love the product, and you're very driven into it. You're very passionate about it. It gives you joy in your life, and so on and so forth. But now you find out it's bad for the environment around you and everything around you. Now you have to say, okay, do I give up my purpose for humanity? Do you give up, or do you change it? And if you do change it, will you still have that joy and satisfaction in it when making that gum? And just a simple example, but it has a lot of impact on it, right? So that's why I'm like you mentioned about the layers. You can be internally having that purpose, and you see a spark in someone's eyes and everything like that. But if it's not good for the greater good, or if it's not good for humanity, then what's your next step? And I'm just throwing that question out there, because no one might, who knows, you might have the answer. I don't have the answer, to be honest with you. It's that, do you give up your purpose? Do you give up your passion just for the sake of, in quotation, being a good person? And
I love where you're pointing to with this, because like, you were talking to me about this earlier, before this interview, about being versus doing. And, when you talk about the stick of gum, that's what you do, is you sell sticks of gum, say, for instance, in this example that you're giving. And, then you recognize that the sticks of gum are bad for the environment, bad for health. They're not conducive to healthy living. So it's not that you give up your purpose if you give up selling that stick of gum. It's that you make a different decision around how you express your purpose. Your purpose is behind the doing. It's the being. Who are you being when you are sharing, or selling, or, in service of something? Your purpose is why are you doing it? And in that case, as you were talking, I was imagining, you know, you selling a stick of gum and seeing the spark in a kid's eye when they taste the juicy fruit, you know, like I used to love juicy fruit. And you love that you just made a child smile, and you love that you just brought joy to a child. So your purpose is the why. It's the underneath reason for why you are sharing something sweet. It's not the thing that you're selling. It's why you're doing it. And that's the underbelly of it. And so what you choose to do in your work life, and, you know, because let's face it, we work most of our lives, and our work in the world matters because it gives us an opportunity to share the full expression of ourselves in work and in family and in other relationships. And work is a really big, significant piece of our life. So you might choose a healthier gum if gum's your thing. You might choose to sell or, you know, contribute in a way if you are involved in some kind of company that's finding cures for the damage that gum did, you know, but it's not what you do. It's the being behind it. It's why you do it. It's for the purpose of helping humanity be healthier, helping bring smiles to people's faces, helping invoke feelings of joy in other people. And so in this book that I wrote, I just recently released, and it's been a labor of love. It's called True Gifts: Igniting Your Soul Magic and Monetizing the Highest Expression of Your Purpose. Is that we all have gifts, and you might be gifted in selling a stick of gum. And that is the vehicle that you use in order to serve your purpose of bringing, you know, the smile on that kid's face when they taste the juicy fruit.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that. I really like that. It's, you're making me think, and I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love it too, because it's so, like, I've been fascinated with this since I was a kid, literally. And it is, because it's that age-old question, you know, that we ask.
I think once and I'm going back to it, I'm thinking so much right now. It's fantastic. I love these conversations. You mentioned purpose, of what's your purpose on earth, but when you said why, I think if you find out why you're on earth, then you could then determine your purpose on earth. So it really is finding out the why. And I remember when I was taking my Six Sigma class, they always say, there's the 5 whys. You ask why 5 times, and therefore you determine what your answer will be. So I think once we understand, or if we ever find out why we're on earth, therefore we could put a purpose on earth.
Absolutely.
Then we can make those two connections, which I love this conversation.
Well, exactly. And if you don't mind, if I just, because you're sparking something in me here, is like when my dad had this dream of building a sailboat and taking off and realizing this dream, he didn't know why, but what he knew was that he hated where he was. Yeah. And he wanted to escape it. And that was like the ultimate, dream that he had. And if he had connected into the core of that why, I believe that his life would have turned out differently, and that whole journey and experience would have turned out differently. So, yeah.
I love this. I love this. I'm going to touch base on something that you mentioned previously and something that we talked about earlier. You mentioned about your sister being fatally diagnosed. How was that journey? And during that time, was anything that she mentioned to you that gave you a drive or signified a purpose in you or sparked something within you to create that book, True Gifts?
Yeah, 1000%. The link between that experience and this book and this body of work, absolutely. She was diagnosed as HIV positive at 25 as a result of a contaminated blood transfusion. And so it was really devastating for the family, and at that time for many families when that was all uncovered. And it was a 10-year period of anticipatory grief, because at that time there was no medicinal support. Like there was no, now, you know, people who are diagnosed as HIV positive, there are some medications and there are some different ways that they're able to live longer and live a good life still. And at that time there was not. So it was terminal. We all knew she was going to die, but we didn't have experience with this. So it was all this question always hanging, like when and how's this going to look? And so we watched her deteriorate until she did. And as she was deteriorating, before she ended up having dementia, which is what finally her brain just completely deteriorated at the end when she passed, but before, when she was of sound mind. And even after it's like she had memories of saying this to me, but she had said to me, I like, make your fucking life count, because I can't. That's what she said to me. She said, get conscious, wake up, and make your life count, with very colorful language, you know, and she was really vehement about it. And she said, because I can't, you know, because I'm dying. So that was a huge, you know, wake up call. It was just, it literally it was life altering for me to hear those words and then to receive the power and energy behind them. And so that was a real catalyst for me to embark on a spiritual journey. At that time, that's exactly what I did. I was just, you know, it's like, you know, I was brought to my knees, really. And so I surrendered to the spiritual energies that are present and available and here, and so much alive, that I had been, you know, pushing down, pushing away. You know, I was busy partying and you know, having fun and chasing the dream, like my dad, right? Like I was just chasing, you know, let's go feel good. Let's use this to feel good, use that to feel good, you know? And so yeah, it was a catalyst. And so embarking on that spiritual journey, you know, occurred over 20 years ago. And I have not, you know, I'm still on that spiritual path, because I feel I am a spiritual being in a human body. And it really led me to not only ask the deeper questions, but find the answers for myself. It led me obviously to navigate through some very significant grief. And for 10 years, I remember every Friday night, I would light a fire, turn on some songs that I knew would make me cry, because I had so much grief in me. And that was the beginning of me learning how to move energy, because emotions are energy. And energy wants and needs to move, energy in motion, right? So that was the beginning of my learning how to move the grief and move the energy through. And I did. And what's on the other side of moving energy when it becomes unstuck is this release of magic, really. It's a release of energy. If you think about any kind of you know, if you think of a chemistry experiment, when you bring two elements together and you alchemize them, that's what it is. It's alchemizing the energy, and then it turns into something else. And when it sparks new insight and new ideas and new recognitions and new understandings and new levels of acceptance and forgiveness and like all of that stuff. So that was a real significant healing journey that I embarked on willingly. And, you know, it was something that, it was how I wanted to handle this rather than running from the pain. I went straight into it. And that's when I was able to develop the inner core work that embodies my work and really tap into the heart intelligence and all of that, you know, this heart healing that humanity really needs. And that's my purpose, is to reawaken the hearts of humanity, like from a place of real visceral desire to do that. based on what I went through. So all of my work stemmed from that and has continued to morph and expand and grow, and all that adversity has really turned into gold. And that's what I was always taught by my mother, is to turn the adversity into gold. And you know, so that's what I've done, and that stemmed my journey and stemmed, you know, from that moment in time when she said that to me, wake up, get conscious, make your life count, because I can't. It literally released this energy in me. And this book that I've written is it's a representation of, you know, how I serve in the world. And it's only book 1 because book 2 is already brewing and bubbling, and it's already started actually. But it's a way, it was a way for me to bring my work to those who are ready to receive it, you know, to those who are resonant with it and aligned with it, to a greater degree, and reach more people, as opposed to, you know, me and my little practice with my clients and my groups. It was a way to really expand the message. So I feel that this book is a message from her, and that's come through the divine, you know. And I feel that it's a message that has filtered through me from these higher realms. So
I love that. There's 3 words that you said that resonates with me, and that's willing, accepting, and serve. Yeah. And I say that because you can't, and my mind is awesome right now. It's like sparking. It's fantastic. I love this.
Good.
You have to, as humans, or just, yeah, I'll just say that word, as human beings, we have to be humble. And to be humble is a state of serving others. And the only way to serve others is actually, one, you have to accept that we're put on earth, and for my opinion, to serve, as to be as close as possible. And serving does not mean, hey, I'm going to give you something. Serving could just mean, hey, come to me and let's talk. Mm-hmm. Let's vibe, let's communicate, let's do something together. And then the other aspect of it, you have to be willing to do it, because I think with a lot of things on this earth, things that trouble us, we sometimes get ourselves into bad things, as in drugs, alcohol, get into addiction. But if you're not willing to change from it and accept it, that, hey, I need to have that change, and willing to get out of it, you're just going to relapse. And those are the things, and that's been playing with my mind while you're talking, and just those words that keep sticking out. And for sure, I would love for you, myself, and my previous guest, Karen Shaw, to have a podcast together, because you said the same thing that she said, and that was energy and emotions, just energy and motions. And you guys, exactly, you said the same thing. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to.
Yeah, I love that.
All 3 of us, we're going to have a podcast, and it's going to, I think sparks are going to fly, and it's going to be a fantastic. And it's literally, I feel like I'm having that same conversation with her. And I'm saying that because it's no offense to you. It's that I'm not connecting to her. It's a more spiritual sense. Mm-hmm. It's that there are people out there that are living their life in a woke stage. Yeah. They are entwined with themselves. And it's nice to network with those people, because once you do that, you're on that level playing field. I've said a quote, and I've said this on my previous podcast. I have sticky notes on my wall. And one thing that I say to myself is, hey, when you decide to stand on top of the world, you do not fear what is in it. I love it because it gives me power. But I'm not saying, hey, I'm greater than everybody. It's, guess what? I'm trying to tap into myself and live higher purpose. And therefore, okay, if I understand myself, I feel like I'm calm, I'm safe. I can understand better. I could connect better. I could be of service. I am willing to accept that. And it's just I have just a lot of these like stickies on my wall, and it's just, I love it. I'm loving this conversation.
Well, and I like what I'm feeling from you, hearing you say that, is that you like this podcast, this work that you're doing, you are so on purpose here, right? Like this is, and the vehicle to be in service of your purpose is the podcast, is collaborating, is having ideas and getting them out there, is doing a podcast with, several people together. And the other part that really struck me as you were saying that is that, like, when those who are willing to go in and to go in and look within into that inner core of their being and really like pull away the gunk that's in there that's been conditioned for so many years, right? For millennia, right? And do the inner work and experience the spark, are resonating at a higher frequency. And that's why you attracted me and I attracted you and your friend and the people that you're bringing onto the podcast, is that I believe that those who are able to do the work, resonate at that higher frequency, they're not better than everybody else, but there's a capacity for us to be able to transform the consciousness on the planet more so than, the lower vibrational, energies that are at play. And there's, that's not what we're here to talk about. And I choose actually not to go there too much because I don't choose to really connect with the lower energy vibrations. I don't watch the news much, like that kind of thing, because I need to keep myself in this high vibrational state. And I truly believe that when and as those of us who are on a mission in service of a higher consciousness on the planet, and in service to our own individual purposes, become clear about that purpose and begin to engage with it and begin to be willing to express it in its highest potentiality, that's how the world is going to change, is, with many, many voices that are speaking at a higher frequency, so that, for people who haven't necessarily entered into the field yet, it's like what I noticed, and I think you probably noticed the same thing too, is that the more I get my voice and in service of my purpose and express what I'm here to do out there, which takes a lot of guts, right? Takes a lot of courage, emotional courage, to put yourself out there, because there's the fears of judgment and all of the conditioning. But the more we do that, the more I'm finding that, like, it's almost like, I just have this image right now of people, like, they're just going along doing their thing in their life. And then all of a sudden you share your spark and they go, what? Right. And that's what's happening, is that there are more and more people going, what? And they start listening. And it's not that, like you said, no one is better than other. It's that there is a voice of God that is coming through people that is, really delivering a message that humans need to hear. And I feel, through my experience with my sister, I feel such gratitude that she gave me this gift of listening to my heart, which is my, connection with the divine, with God, with source, however people want to call it. That's not really the point, but that connection and the willingness to hear that voice come through and share whatever I'm here to share, like today, it's not like, there's been any rehearsal. It's just having the willingness. I love that word, it keeps coming up. The willingness to just let the wisdom and the intuitive message come through, so that people can, wake up and go, what did you just say? And have something spark in them. And that's what you do with your podcast. So thank you for doing what you do. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm not sure where to go from there, from here. It's just, I kind of just want to leave it on that note, to be honest with you. Anything would you like to say? I see your book. You touched based on it a little bit. Anything else you want to talk about your book, or you just want to leave it as is and let other people say, hey, guess what? I need to read that book.
Yeah, I feel like, it's a spark. This is the book behind me is one of those canvas versions. And this book here, other than, I have, of course, I'd love for everybody to read it. And at the same time, I know that not everybody will, obviously. And for those who feel the spark and feel ignited and feel inspired, that I do, I have a free digital copy that I would love to share, that and to get the message out, to get the word out, and to really impart the importance of discovering what that purpose is for people and unearthing the gifts that they have in order to express that purpose. That to me is everything. And that's my version of changing the world. So, and I love that everyone has their version. And when I work with people, I see all these versions of changing the world, and that's how we do it together collaboratively. So thank you for having me and for this great conversation.
This is an awesome, and that's exactly what I want my podcast to be, is just really just having a conversation between two people. It's not an interview style. It's just hey, let's sit down and let's talk. Let's grab a coffee in a sense. Let's talk. Let's jive.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
So I'm going to end it on this note. Welcome to Real Talk, No Filter. This is David and Jules. Take care.